back to Garden Talks. I am a mycologist, an herbalist, and a gardener. I love to share videos on plant medicine, specifically magic mushrooms and herbs, as well as gardening. So if that interests you, please make sure to subscribe and share this type of content. Today I will be sharing my thoughts and some research on psychedelics, specifically psilocybin mushrooms, and how they can help you with depression, how they can heal your depression. This information is very, very valuable. Any information dealing with natural medicine, with plants or fungi, because mushrooms aren't considered plants, they are fungi. Anything natural from the earth, that grows from the earth, is worth sharing with the world. A quick disclaimer before we get started. I am not in any way, shape, or form influencing you to do drugs or magic mushrooms specifically. Okay, please use your brain and do your own research and just do your own research. This video is not to encourage you to do them, and I should be doing this disclaimer in all of my videos, but I will from here on out. So in no way am I influencing you to do this. This is just information. It's valuable information, okay? For research purposes, all right? So let's get into it. How can magic mushrooms help you with depression? Well, I think that the first thing that we need to do is define the word depression, because nowadays in 2023, like there are so many people who are out here self-diagnosing themselves with like pretty much everything, you know, anxiety, depression, all of those. They're just so common, you know? I think it's important to have a greater awareness of the labels and the boxes that you're putting yourself in. You know what I mean? Like, I personally don't like to say that I'm depressed. I feel like I've never really been depressed, to be honest. But now when I look back at phases in my life where I was like in hibernation mode kind of thing, that could be considered depression. And I feel like everyone goes through depression at one point in their life. It's like a natural phase in one's life. How could it not? You know, like life is so wild and chaotic, and life is in cycles, you know, it moves in cycles. And so how can we not go through phases of just like wanting to be alone and wanting to just like literally do nothing, you know? So defining what depression means is very important. Alright, so according to Google, the definition of depression is, so clinical depression, a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life. Alright, so basically it is considered a mental health disorder in which persistently feel like you go through these like depressed moods and loss of interest in life in general, you know? And I feel that. And I'm not saying that depression is not real. Let me make that clear. Like, these mental health disorders are real. Like, our mind is one of the most powerful things to exist. Like, our mind is more powerful than technology, because the mind of a man created technology. Like, technology and that realm of the web was all created by the blueprint of the mind. Do you know what I'm saying? So our mind is incredibly powerful, and it's so important to take care of your mind. It is so vital to prioritize your mental health, okay, in this crazy chaotic world. The thing about depression is that there has to be a root to it, you know, there has to be a reason as to why you're having these moods and not feeling like motivated about life, you know. And it doesn't have to be that deep. It could just be that you're in a phase of your life where it's like you just need to hibernate. And that's kind of how I like to look at depression, you know. My best friend actually broke this down to me, like the etymology of the word depression, right? If you break it down, it's deep rest. Depressed. Depressed is deep rest. Just think about it that way. Like when you're feeling depressed, think about yourself going into deep rest. And after you come out of that deep rest, you may have all these like downloads, or you might feel renewed, you might feel like you went through a spiritual awakening, or it might initiate an awakening in your life. And it's important to note that throughout our whole life, we have many spiritual awakenings. It's not like one time we have one spiritual awakening. I mean, of course, when we first acknowledge the fact that we've been bamboozled out here and that we like awaken, like we have this like light bulb moment where we're like, oh shit, like everything is not what it seems like. Of course, we have that very first initial, what we call spiritual awakening, but that doesn't mean that after that you're not going to continue to have them. Like I have them every single day. My thoughts are that you should not be depressed all the time, like, and it's okay if you have phases where you are, but get yourself out of there. Like get yourself out of that hole and come back to earth, to this earth realm. Ground yourself and live your life like to the fullest. All right, so magic mushrooms. So what are magic mushrooms? If you don't know the basics of this, you could do some quick Googling on what are magic mushrooms. Basically, it is a fungi. It is a mushroom that has this active component called psilocybin. I'm gonna share some research that I found in regards to this topic, magic mushrooms and depression, and then I'll also share my thoughts, because I have a lot of experience working closely with the medicine, and I have experience witnessing other people work closely with the medicine and taking the journey with the medicine, and it is so beautiful. I personally believe that magic mushrooms can definitely help with your depression, and I don't want to use the word cure or heal because I don't want anybody coming at me, but they definitely help you. One thing I want to note is that I find it very interesting how like there's all this recent research in regards to this topic as if it's new, you know what I mean? When in reality, our ancestors have been aware of this for literally centuries. And this book, I've mentioned it before, Food of the Gods, it's such an amazing book. I have so many notes in here like highlighted, but this book like dives into the fact that we have had access to this medicine since forever, you know what I mean? So I just find it interesting that like you see all these articles and such about doing research with magic mushrooms, and of course research continues to expand as, you know, humans evolve, but it's just funny because it's like everything is so controlled. It's like they're really acting like there's this new renaissance of magic mushrooms that's coming back after like, you know, the hippies in the 60s and such, when in reality they already know this. They already know the power of magic mushrooms. And I mean they as in, I don't know, the government, the CIA, all of that, you know, they are well aware of the power behind this medicine. And that should really make you question things, because why are they illegal? You know what I mean? Why are there all these laws when it comes to something that grows from the earth? And I will say though, and I have said this before, that I do understand why there are laws when working with this, because it is a sacred medicine and it should be used with intention. I could definitely see why they don't want to make it so easily accessible to the public and have like dispensaries everywhere as they do in some states with cannabis at the moment, because I think that there would be people who would be recklessly using magic mushrooms, you know what I mean? And they are extremely powerful. They are not to be played around with, you know what I mean? Like, they will take you places. Obviously it will depend on the dosage that you take, but just know that the more that you consume, like, the more you will blast out of this 3D dimension. And to some people that can be very dangerous, because mental disorders are very real. And if you are already, you may not even be aware of, like, if it runs in your family, like, schizophrenic, I don't know, having mental disorders and then taking psychedelics, it can be damaging to your brain. And I can get into that in another video, because I have like my own theories on like what happens, you know what I mean? So something that I like to say is that our work is about a mindful relationship with a sacred plant or fungi we work with or journey with or commune with, but we would never use. Give thanks to the medicine and set your intentions clearly. So I understand, like I said, about all these laws and regulations and such, because I'm sure that there are people who would abuse it and might like disassociate themselves from reality and society. But when it comes to therapy, like what's it called? Therapy sessions, using psychedelics with people, like, they're making it this big thing where it's like going to be very expensive for people to have access to this. And that, I don't know how I feel about that, because this medicine, like, should not cost that much to have access to, especially knowing the healing benefits that it brings to us. The more intention that you bring when working with this medicine, the more you're going to get out of it, like, for real. Like, I have here this like tripping journal that I got my hands on, and just like taking notes of your trip, and whether this is like a microdose or you're doing a larger dose, it's very important to be so intentional with your journey. All right, so I have this article that I would like to read. Psychedelic magic mushrooms have been used for centuries for social, religious, and medicinal purposes. Like I said, this book goes into that. They are commonly called magic mushrooms due to their hallucinogenic properties. When ingested, users can experience a wide variety of effects. Researchers have been studying the effects of these mushrooms and believe that they can be used as a potential therapeutic option for a variety of mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and addiction. While many associate mushrooms with substance abuse, they are not physically addictive themselves, although they can be habit forming. The active chemical inside mushrooms, psilocybin, can make users see the world differently, causing researchers to explore how it works and how these side effects can potentially be therapeutic. So again, some of these articles are old, like this one is 2016, but there's definitely recent ones. Just know that all this information is already out there. Like, we are already aware that they're healing, okay? And like, the information is out there. So if you truly want to like dive into it, like, the information is there, and I'll tell you, like, they work. If you have never had an experience with magic mushrooms yet, definitely make sure to watch some old videos that I have where I shared my personal experience on them with an ego death and all of that. But I just want to say that they are so miraculous, like, for real. And there's so many people, like I said, that take a journey with them and it changes their life. So there was a study where they injected psilocybin into the brains of 30 healthy people and scanned them to identify the drug's effects on function, which I think is really weird, because like, why would you inject people with it? Like, I understand it's for research, so it's probably like trying to expedite the process, but it kind of takes away from it, because when you consume psychedelics, like, the way that you consume them is going to affect your body. Like, the different ways in which you consume them is going to hit you differently, you know what I mean? So like, having that straight injected to your brain, that's like, damn, you know? But anyways, this is still interesting research, whatever they're doing here. So after being injected, the regions of the brain associated with emotional thinking became more active, while the regions responsible for high-level thinking, self-consciousness, and introspection became less active. Since many mental health disorders are tied to excessive connectivity to the brain, lessened activity can help disjoint the overconnectedness many experience and may relieve symptoms of specific conditions. Overconnectivity in the brain is often what causes people to become locked into negative thoughts, fixating excessively on thoughts that are depressive. By disrupting the connection, psilocybin can provide relief from depressive symptoms and provide individuals with the ability to feel relief by escaping those thoughts. Researchers propose that the use of psilocybin in conjunction with therapy can provide overwhelmingly positive results. So yeah, the thing that psilocybin does to your brain is so unique, you know what I mean? And the thing is that like when we are depressed, we experience so many depressive thoughts, like depressive as in like more on the low vibrational type of spectrum. Think of the spectrum. Think of like love is like everything in life. Love, and then on the opposite side there's fear, right? So anything on the opposite spectrum of love can be considered low vibrational. Like we can go into these like rabbit holes of our minds and like stay in these depressive thoughts. And the thing is that like when you think of a thought, it's going to trigger another thought that's going to trigger another thought. So you could be caught in literally these loops of just having these negative thoughts. If you don't have any like positive people or people who truly like love you unconditionally in your life, it could be so easy to go down these rabbit holes and feel like you're depressed. Like I totally feel that, you know, especially like, you know, dealing with life in general on top of everything, you know, like maybe your job is just hella stressful and you hate it. Maybe it's just your life in general that doesn't bring you excitement. Like all of these things are going to cause these thoughts in your brain it may cause them to be in loop. Like that's not good. And like if you don't have someone to like help you pull yourself out of that, and sometimes we don't need someone else's help, sometimes we need to be there and we're going to be the ones who take ourselves out of there, you know. But basically what this study is saying is that overconnectivity in the brain is what causes people to be locked onto these negative thoughts, like fixating so hard onto something. And psilocybin will disrupt that, you know. It's going to allow you to see things for what they are. It's going to allow you to see and view life from a different perspective. I like to think of it as like your higher self being able to see life in such a subtle way. Like you're just calm. It's like, okay, I see this and this is how I'm gonna flow like out of this. So researchers propose that the use of psilocybin in conjunction with therapy can provide overwhelmingly positive results. So that's a very important thing to note, is that you need to use psilocybin very, very intentionally. And that's why like I support the whole therapy session things. The thing is that like it doesn't have to be done in an office setting or with someone, like, but I completely understand if that's the guidance that you need, you know, especially if you suffer from like PTSD and such. But I also believe that you can have such a beautiful experience in the comfort of your home. Like if you have an environment that is suitable for you to set up, like to make it comfortable, because environment does play a huge role. Or if you have the ability to be in nature, the most important thing is having a guide. And when I say guide, I mean like someone that you love and someone that you trust. Because when you are going to take a journey with psilocybin, you're going to experience a lot of emotions. And I'm talking about a larger dose. You're going to experience a lot. You're going to feel a lot, and you most likely are going to express it out, you know, because so a lot of the times, like, we just suppress everything inside of our bodies and we keep it there, you know, and so it's going to unlock and it's going to allow you to release. And so having someone who will create a safe space for you is very important. So I personally feel like it would be better in some cases to trip in an environment that feels safe to you with someone that you trust instead of like a complete stranger, like a therapist. It could be weird, you know, like you could be all emotional, you might want to hug them, but you shouldn't really be touching them, you know what I mean? So with over 350 million people around the world suffering from depression, the potential, and this is, mind you, this article is 2016. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more people who are like diagnosing themselves or being diagnosed with depression. The potential for psilocybin in treatment is substantial. Currently, treatment for depression alone may use serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, which increases levels of serotonin in the brain to improve mood. However, SSRIs are not effective for everyone. So this is really important to note, that if you're someone who is currently on SSRIs, you should not be consuming magic mushrooms. I mean, you totally can, but just know that you may not feel anything because the drugs that you're already consuming is blocking something in your head, you know, some receptor. Or you might have to take more in order to actually even feel something, which kind of sucks. And so I will never know what it feels like to be on SSRIs. I don't know what it feels like. I've never taken them, but I don't know, because I believe in nature and I believe in healing with nature and healing with the earth. I don't take drugs of any form, literally no drugs, so that are unnatural, okay? So I feel like we have everything that we need to heal. Our minds and our body is incredibly powerful. And so I feel like SSRIs are completely unnecessary. Like, we have access to this medicine. Like, I feel like if I was on SSRIs, I would consult, you know, with my doctor and whatever, but I don't know. I feel like I would just try a trip with psychedelics or try a microdosing journey, like 30 to 60 days, and see how that feels, you know? Even in cases where they are found to be beneficial, the medication does not produce instant results and often has to be prescribed for long periods of time before they are effective. Although it is still in infant stages of exploration, researchers suggest that the combination with psilocybin and therapy may be able to treat mental health conditions within 1 or 2 sessions. Going back to what I just said, like, I just don't believe, like, if you're depressed, why would you take this medicine to this drug, this pharmaceutical drug, to like put a band-aid over it? It's not gonna heal you. Is it gonna heal you? No. What is it gonna do? Or what does it do to, like, it's like temporary to like bring your mood up, I guess? I don't know, but yeah, it says that it can be effective within 1 or 2 sessions, and this is most likely why the therapy sessions are estimated to be in like the $1,000 range, because if you suffer from one of these mental disorders, like, imagine just going into a therapy session like once or twice and feeling like a renewed person after. Researchers go on to suggest that psilocybin's ability to disrupt the world and introduce chaos through, so interesting, I've been talking about chaos a lot lately, introduce chaos through hallucinations and altering people's reality may also help treat addictions. So I think I'm gonna make a separate video on addiction, but it pretty much all ties together, really. In terms of depression, like, when you take a full-on trip, like a higher dose, not a microdose, you may experience hallucinations. Like, this reality is going to be altered, and depending on the journey that the mushrooms take you on, like if you go on an ego death, your reality, like this reality, will be shattered, completely shattered, like completely shattered. And that's why it's important to, before you consume them, to be like in a good mental state. Like don't be like completely destroyed or in like a really horrible place in life, because your trip will most likely be horrible. All right, another reason why it's important to have a guide. But yeah, the magic in the mushrooms have the ability to like disrupt your reality and just give you a different perception, a different perspective on this life, and just help you laugh and cry and remember and remember and remember and like bring you so much knowledge. And it feels like all these answers fall out of the sky, and it's like you feel so much love and relief, like okay, I get it. And it's just like feeling that oneness with the universe is so beautiful and so healing, and I think that sometimes you really need that. So although mushrooms are not physically addictive, they can be habit forming and psychologically addictive. Many become addicted to the spiritual journey they associate with the use and intensify their use in order to experience an intense spiritual awakening. Users typically develop tolerances to drugs' effects, and this increased tolerance also applies to other psychedelics such as LSD and DMT. Within a few days, tolerance decreases. However, users may take higher doses in order to achieve the same effects, whether or not their tolerance has changed. So yeah, that's just something very important to know. Like, if you're going to take a journey with psychedelics, psilocybin, like it's not addicting, and that's what's so beautiful. Like, imagine like having one therapy session, whether it be at home or whether it be with a therapist, and it changing your life forever, and then you being good. Like, that's it. Like, you don't have to seek the medicine again. Like, that's it. And that in itself is probably why it's still illegal, because the pharmaceutical industry is like the #1 billion-dollar industry in the world, who is collecting money out of everyone's pockets because society makes us believe that we are sick and that we need these drugs and that we need it for this and we need drugs for this, and we don't. We really don't, because we have access to nature, to Mama Earth, and everything has already been given to us. But like the article says, it can be habit forming. So like if you're someone who is microdosing it, it is extremely important that you follow a protocol. It is so important to like take days off your microdose journey so that you don't develop this habit forming thing, because your tolerance will increase. Now, if you're someone who's just going to take like a larger dose, like one trip here and there, maybe once a year or whatever the case, then that's beautiful. Psychedelics are unpredictable and can cause numerous side effects. Users may experience both good trips and bad trips. Yes, this is true. Both good and bad trip exist, and like a bad trip, it could be like horrendous. And if you're interested in hearing about my experience, go watch a really old video that I shared. But it's totally true. Like, you could experience a complete ego death, like where your ego just shatters, like everything just poof. So, which can vary depending on their state of mind, emotions, physical location, the influence of additional substances, etc. Previous experiences and dose strength also influence the intensity of the trip and make each experience unique and unpredictable, etc., etc. So yeah, there are definitely side effects related to psilocybin when you consume them. If you are not aware, you may feel nauseous. Nausea is like one of the main things that your body like may experience when you first ingest it, because your body is trying to break the active component in the magic, you know? So your body is like, what the fuck is happening? You may experience like temperature changes, hypothermia, impaired motor visions, skills, vomiting, stomach pain, rapid breathing, increased blood pressure. Like all of this is real, and this is for like higher dosages, and it's going to be different for everybody. So people with depression might find that they are locked into a period of excessive self-consciousness, but brain imaging data suggests that psilocybin could break such vicious cycles by reducing connectivity in the default mode network. So according to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, psilocybin can produce perceptual changes, altering a person's awareness of their surroundings and of their thoughts and feelings. So that's very beautiful. See, the thing about psilocybin is that it's going to enhance your awareness. It's going to enhance your awareness. Sometimes that's what we need. Like, we all have this higher self. We all have this higher version of us. We all have access to our Christ-like mind, our godliness, you know. Some of us are not even aware of that, and that's okay, all right? We're all on our own journeys, but we all have access to that. Psilocybin helps us tap into that God power, that godly energy, where it's like you have everything that you need. You have the awareness. You know what to do. That's the thing. Like, you're able to see things again, and it's like you're viewing your life, and it's like, okay, like, if you're depressed, it's like, all right, I need to get out of this loop. Like, maybe you're having this loop of thoughts in your mind where it's like, my life sucks, like, there's nothing good going for myself, like, my job sucks, like, life sucks, you know? And maybe you take a trip and you're like, oh wow, you know, life is fucking beautiful. It's just this moment that I'm in, and okay, this is what I need to do. Okay, like I need to change my thoughts. You know what? Life is beautiful, and so you start to view things differently. Now that's going to change the pattern of the thoughts in your mind, and the experience that you are left with after a psychedelic experience is like forever. It's with you forever. Like, literally, it changes your DNA, you know, like, and you can pass that on. Like, it could literally like change your character. It could help you evolve in such a transformative way if you use them intentionally. I will say that again, if you use them with intention. Sometimes we need to feel like refreshed and renewed, and we can do that with the help of nature, of Mama Earth. I think it's so beautiful that magic mushrooms are natural. Like, it's incredible. All right, so I just want to note that there are so many articles in regards to this. So if you're like really interested in learning more about it, just Google it. Like, how does magic mushrooms help with depression? And you're going to see all of the studies that they've been doing for years and years and years. It's just about the access, you know, and it's just so important how you use them and with what intention. You have to have this like, desire in you, and we all have it. Even if you are depressed, we all have this desire of like, okay, I want better. You may not be aware of it, but it's like deep down you know that you came here to earth for a reason, and that you are important, that you are valuable, that you are worth healing, that your life is worth healing. Like, whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever really deep and strong feelings you're going through, like, just know that you can overcome it. Like, you can overcome it because you have all the power to do so. You're the only one who has the power to do so. Magic mushrooms are not this like band-aid that is going to like heal all these mental disorders for you. But if you do them in conjunction with other work, you're going to see your life change. And I'm just gonna finish off this video by saying that it doesn't matter the amount that you consume. It's just a matter of like what kind of experience you want. Because remember that they are here to bring us an experience, to help us evolve, an experience that you're gonna have forever and ever and ever and ever. Okay, so Whether you choose to take a microdose journey, which means you're taking a very, very, very small amount of mushroom throughout an extended period of time, like let's say 30 days or 60 days, you're taking, you know, these microdose capsules or whatever form you want to take it in every 2 days or every 3 days, you're going to start to see your life change. As you're also doing, you know, this inner work, something in conjunction, maybe you choose to start meditating or journaling, whatever feels right to you. Now, if you choose to take like a full-on dose, like I'd say anything from like, it's gonna vary per person, okay, but I would say anything from like 3 grams to 5, that's like a life-changing trip, you know. And again, you shouldn't be consuming this with other meds because it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work the same. It's actually better to fast when you are going to journey with psychedelics, even with a microdose. But yeah, if you choose to have a full-on journey, just remember to have a guide, to have someone that you love and trust, and to have a space where you can feel comfortable. Okay, whether that be inside a place like a home or whatever, or in nature. That's very, very important. It's gonna play a huge role. And that in itself, like a big trip, a large dose is going to be incredibly life-changing. Your mind is literally the most powerful thing on earth. Don't ever forget that. Like, life, you know, this world, there can exist hundreds of other species that we may not even be aware of, or other entities like aliens and all these forms of life that we're not even aware of, that we haven't been exposed to. But like, we would be so dumb to think that we're the only ones on earth, you know. But besides the fact that like so much life exists on this world, like nothing compares to like the power of our minds, because we are so incredible. So like, remember that you literally hold all the power. So we have access to nature and this healing medicine. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this was of value to you. If you have any questions or just want to connect, please make sure to comment below. And again, it would mean everything to me if you subscribed and shared this video.